And it's the Horror Guys once again.
Episode 329, where we're going to talk about some horror movies.
Some horrible movies.
And I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
And horrible?
Well, they're horror. There's some horribleness in them.
Yeah, there is. But actually, this was a pretty entertaining week.
Yeah, these, actually, now looking at the list, they were all pretty decent.
I didn't hate anything this week.
One of them was pretty deep with the plot holes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But still had entertainment value.
Yeah. As usual, we are brought to you by horrormonthly.com. You pick up issue 43, just came out this week. It has all the reviews from, what month is this? All the reviews from March that we did. Mm-hmm. And it is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, or wherever you buy your usual books.
We keep cranking them out.
We do.
We keep watching movies.
At least 28 or 30 or something a month.
They keep making more movies, too. We can't keep up. We can't catch up. I mean, we keep up, sort of, but we don't catch up.
You know, we've been doing this for more than 6 years.
And we haven't run out of movies.
We don't even have any trouble finding movies.
No, not at all.
Like, what are we going to watch this week? There's nothing left. No, it's never, ever been
And then we look
said.
at a list, and there will be like 30 to choose from.
And like, we watched all the old movies, right? And we keep coming up with movies from the 40s and 50s still.
Yep. And then they keep making out new ones.
There is an unlimited number.
Speaking of which, we got 2 new ones this week.
Yeah, we do. What do we got?
We got The Monkey, and we got The Rule of Jenny Penn. Brand new this year.
Yeah.
And then from 2022, we have one called Monolith, which has nothing to do with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Well, it's a very misleading poster, too.
Uh-huh. And 2014's Deep in the Darkness. And 2011's Chillerama.
Chillerama was one of those dollar store DVDs, and I thought it looked like crap, and it was way better than I expected.
Actually, Deep in the Darkness was a dollar store DVD, I think, too.
Okay, all right. Well, it's a week of surprises then.
It was.
Most of the time, Kevin's dollar store picks are
awful.
Awful, to say the least. Once in a while, he'll pick up a winner.
These 2 were not awful. Yeah.
Well, let's start out with the newest, or the biggest hyped movie probably, is The Monkey from 2025. Mm-hmm. Directed by Osgood Perkins, written by Osgood Perkins and Stephen King, stars Theo James, Tatiana Maslany, and Christian Convery. Hour and 38 minutes, trailer in the show notes. So it's another Stephen King movie, so it's gotta suck, right?
No, this one did not.
Depends on what you're in it for, I suppose.
He must have had light fingers on this one. Yeah, I don't know.
Stephen King movies tend to not be very good.
Or maybe he had heavy fingers on it. Because I think that's the problem with a lot of them, that he doesn't have enough control over them. And the ones that he doesn't have,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of you, Maximum Overdrive, and some others that are out there that he didn't have much creative control over once he gave the rights to say, yeah, make this a movie.
And then there's some like The Mist that he says the movie is better than his story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just depends.
Spoiler free.
Well, like the poster implies, which the poster says, everybody dies, and that's effed up. Gives it right away, yeah. So as the poster implies, there's quite a body count in this one. And the deaths are really over the top. It's a good mix of dark humor and gruesome horror, and it's very well made. We both really liked it.
The story is very generic. The story is very predictable. The characters are very generic. The characters are very predictable. What really sets this one out are the crazy deaths. Mm-hmm. It's like Final Destination, only funnier.
Yeah, and more random.
Yeah, a lot more random, yes. Yeah. Well, after the 1970s era title, we cut to a junk shop. Captain Petey Shelbourne comes in with a monkey toy. He's also covered in blood. He explains that it's not a toy, but the proprietor doesn't want it.
He wants to get rid of it, though.
Suddenly, the monkey starts banging his drum, and the captain looks around, terrified. We soon see that he has good reason to be afraid.
And I'm just gonna spoil that too, because it's just standing there. It's a pawn shop, and they're both just standing there, and the drum, blah, 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 and the captain has an expression on his face like, oh, what's going to happen?
He knows something's going to happen.
A harpoon gun shoots across the room, goes right through the clerk into the wall behind him. And, they're both standing there, and it's so fast that the clerk is still standing there, and we think, oh, okay, that's going to hurt, and then it retracts and pulls the guy's intestines out in a long string. Giving you some idea that's how over the top the deaths are. I'm going to spoil that one because it's right off the bat here.
But then the captain sees a working flamethrower on the wall and uses it to burn the monkey.
Oh, problem solved then.
What kind of junk shop keeps a loaded
Loaded
flamethrower
flamethrower
on display?
Well, a working loaded harpoon gun that's pointed straight out too.
Okay, so we're already into the suspension of disbelief section right here.
A little bit.
Well, we skip forward to 1999, and Hal and his twin brother Bill are annoying kids. Their deadbeat father was a pilot who walked out on the family. I didn't make the connection at this point.
I didn't either.
Captain Petey is the father.
Yeah, in a little while you do, though.
Yeah.
They give it away.
In the father's closet, they find a box containing the monkey toy, which is perfectly intact.
It's indestructible.
We now see that their father was Captain Petey from earlier, and this is the monkey that he burned, only it looks untouched now. Bill turns the key on the monkey's back, but nothing seems to happen.
But that loads it.
The babysitter then takes the boys to a Japanese-style restaurant, and they take the monkey along with them in the car. The monkey activates, plays his drum, and inside, the chef accidentally beheads the babysitter. Bill and Hal's mother talks about death, but she sounds almost eager for it. So, yeah, I don't think that's the way hibachi works.
No, but that one did. Yeah.
Hal gets bullied at school, and when he gets home, he finds the monkey in his room. He takes it to school with him. Hal tells the monkey that he wishes Bill was dead.
Bill bullies Hal, too.
Yes.
So, in addition to getting bullied at school, he's getting bullied by his own twin brother.
So he wants to kill his own twin brother by sicking the monkey on him.
Yep.
Instead, their mother dies. The doctors say it's an aneurysm, but Hal knows better. The monkey doesn't take requests.
Yeah, someone dies.
It's going to kill somebody.
You don't get to choose.
The boys go to live with Aunt Ida and Uncle Chip. Hal cuts up the monkey, which bleeds like a real monkey would. He then puts the pieces in the trash, and the family moves to Maine. Well, when they get to Maine, Bill finds the monkey, and Hal says what he did with it. They both know it killed the babysitter. Bill wants to try it again just to be sure. Soon, Uncle Chip is trampled by wild horses on a camping trip. 'Cause, wow.
Because weird and random, yeah.
And the boys throw the monkey down into a well. We then skip 25 years later. Aunt Ida hears the monkey's song playing and goes down to the basement to investigate. She then falls into a box of fishing lures, and that sets herself on fire. But, that's not the worst of it.
Mm-hmm. It gets worse.
Yeah, we'll stop there. So it's all about grown-up Hal and grown-up Bill and the evil monkey toy that
They
kills
own.
in the most randomly ways.
They own, so, they can't quite shake it. Yeah.
Well, there are numerous callbacks to other Stephen King characters and names, as well as some other movies. The deaths here are all excessively over the top and comical, and they're the high point of the film. If you don't laugh at some of these deaths, you're not paying attention.
Uh-huh.
It's very silly, but it's also very well made. Other than the deaths, it's all played pretty straight. It's not a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are interesting enough, the deaths are very creative, and it moves at a reasonable speed. I think we both liked this one a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was impressed. The boys, the young versions of Bill and Hal,
Yes.
and the adult Bill and Hal are both played by one actor.
Well, two actors.
Well, two actors of the two
boy
actors.
actor and the adult actor.
The boys are one actor, and the adults are one actor. But the effects...
A lot of dual roles here.
Yeah, they're the subtlety of the two, they were playing two characters, and I thought the actors did a good job, and the effects were just seamless on playing twins.
And in the next movie, we have two other actors that are playing different roles, and they're not at all the same.
And they're not playing twins.
2025 is The Rule of Jenny Penn, directed by James Ashcroft, written by Eli Kent, James Ashcroft, and Owen Marshall, stars Jeffrey Rush, John Lithgow, George Henare, and Nikki MacDonald. Hour and 45 minutes, trailer in the show notes. And I think maybe the trailer was a little misleading on this one. Mm-hmm. That evil doll was going around killing people.
No, it's not the doll.
Not the way it works.
Yeah.
Spoiler free. It's an extreme tale about how getting old is awful, with bullying and tyranny when and where they shouldn't be. The performances from the two leads are impressive, and we both thought it was on the long side, but it was worth a watch.
Yep.
And if you were looking for your typical horror movie, this ain't it. It's very different.
It is.
It's a different kind of horror.
A different kind of horror, yeah.
Go ahead. What's that? What happens?
Well, Stefan Mortensen squashes a bug with a tissue. But you realize he's in the middle of a trial.
And I'm thinking at this point he's just distracted playing with this fly because he's not paying attention to his trial because he's a crap judge. No, he was paying attention.
He was, yeah. He's a kind of a harsh judge, you find out, too.
He's mean.
Yeah, he really lets him have it. And, it's a child abuse trial, and one woman in the audience. Yeah, he
sentences the guy. But then the mother of the children, he really plays into her, too.
She starts, thank you for justice. And, boy, he just rips into her for enabling this and letting it happen. And then he keels over with a stroke.
Blech.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Well, the next we see, Stefan is in a wheelchair in a rest home. He insists that he's only in this cheap place temporarily. And talking to a guy outside on the patio, and the guy sitting next to him accidentally sets himself on fire. But the place is a little short-staffed, and Stefan can't do anything about it, so it goes badly for the guy.
The real horror of this movie is the short staffing.
They are short-staffed and don't pay enough attention. Yeah, I guess they're doing the best they can with what they got, but yeah. Well, at the musical show, you know how, they bring in different entertainments into old people homes. Well, Stefan notices the other patients, including one old man who is cuddling a hand puppet. And Stefan soon finds out he's in a double occupancy room with a man who really likes to talk.
Stefan doesn't like to talk.
Yeah. He's pretty...
Leave me alone. I'll mind my own business. I'm going to go home in a couple weeks.
He's very antisocial, yeah. Well, we see that Stefan has some serious problem with his hands, and he can walk. He's mostly wheelchair bound. If he really puts in the effort, he can get to his feet, but it's not easy. He's really physically on the downside. He can't live alone, so that's why he's there. And he might be a little suicidal.
Now, this is about the bathtub scene, where he basically Did he try to drown himself, or was that an accident?
I believe he tried to drown himself.
All right. It's not entirely clear.
Yeah, I think that he slipped, and then once he started, he was regretting it and couldn't pull himself up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, we cut to the man with the puppet, who is Dave Creeley, as he walks through the halls at night. The doll is Jenny Penn. He stops to talk to an old woman who's forgotten that she's been there for years. She keeps talking about she's just there till after Christmas and her family's going to come get her, and it's like October. He pours a bucket of urine all over Stefan that night.
And the nurses all think that Stefan peed himself and start treating him like a baby.
Yeah, and Stefan's like, no, I didn't do it. And
sure, you'd say that.
He cannot convince them that Dave is the one that did it. He even names Dave as his assailant, but no one really pays attention. And the two men soon become archenemies. Well, that night, Jenny Penn and Dave visit Tony, Stefan's Maori. I always have trouble saying that. Maori roommate, who's a former rugby legend. He torments both men with his evil puppet. Puppet's not really evil, it's just Dave doing it. But Tony explains that he's always been like this, but now Dave has an audience in Stefan. And still, we see that he picks on and abuses most of the other patients who don't really put up a fight or anything. Tony confides in Stefan about Dave's ongoing bullying. This has gone on for years since Tony got there. It's like Dave has always been there. But Tony doesn't really seem interested in making it stop.
Tony explains that he used to be the big football or rugby hero or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's a big star. He even has kids come to visit him and hear his stories all the time. And he was a big, strong man, and now he's being abused by this weirdo. And he doesn't want to tell anybody and tarnish his legacy because everybody's just going to remember him for being this old weakling. Mm-hmm. So he lets it go on and on and on.
Yeah. Well, Stefan sees that Dave was on the staff going back for decades. There's pictures of the staff, and you see young John Lithgow on the wall. He really has always been there. So he knows all the ins and outs of the place, plus he's got a security key and various physical keys where he can really come and go. And yeah, so this is a problem. They trade barbs at lunch, and Dave exactly knows what Stefan's deterioration is, how it's going to go, because he's
seen it all before.
He's seen this before.
You're not going to get better.
Yeah. Well, we soon see that with the doctor visits that Stefan really isn't getting any better. He seems to be getting worse from the stroke.
Man, let's stop there.
Yeah. Stuff happens after that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Well, getting old sucks, but, this is a bit much.
Yes.
find it hard to believe that Dave could be doing all that for years and the staff wouldn't notice. Of course, as I said, the real horror here is the lack of staff in this place.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how the doll changed expressions depending on what was going on at the time. It would look mean or it would smile, and it always had glowing eyes. Still, other than the changes in the doll's face, there's actually no indication that anything supernatural or weird is going on.
And I don't think the doll was really changing faces.
No, it's just their
Stefan was
imagination.
seeing that.
We see it, but that's a camera thing.
I think we were seeing what Stefan was seeing.
Yeah, Jenny Penn is not controlling Dave. Dave is just an evil man picking on old people. The performances here are excellent, as you'd expect with these two guys, but the film itself just kind of goes on, dragging a lot in the middle. I think they probably could have cut 20 minutes out.
Could have trimmed it up a little, maybe.
But it's quite a story.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
If you like some non-supernatural, non-slasher horror, this...
Painful and sad to watch at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it kind of really happens sometimes.
Well, the infirmity, the loss of independence, and the isolation, and yeah. It was sad.
Okay, so both of those movies were really good.
Yes, they were.
Now we're going to get into, I think, my favorite of the week.
Monolith.
2022's Monolith.
Well,
I have never heard of this until it just popped up somewhere the other day.
Yeah, same here.
Directed by Matt Vaselli, written by Lucy Campbell, stars Lily Sullivan, Damon Harriman, and Ling Cooper-Tan. Hour and 34 minutes. Trailer in the show notes.
But really just stars Lily Sullivan.
There's only one person on screen, yes.
The rest of the people literally phone it in. You do see some people in video footage and on camera a couple times.
Video calls, yes.
But it's just her in a house, in a studio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I love that poster, though. It shows like the 2001 monolith up in the sky, and yeah, that's not it.
Well, it's looming over her. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, spoiler-free for such a simple premise and about being one actor in one house, it was surprisingly good. She does go outside a little bit, but mostly it's just, her indoors. It builds steadily, gets more suspenseful and weirder as it goes. And she is excellent, Lily Sullivan, in this role, which is good since it's all her. We both liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a man tells a story about his family is a bit unusual. A man followed them for years, taking thousands of photos of the family. Still, he has no evidence of this at all. No, wait, the man telling the story is a nut. We zoom out to see an interviewer talking to the crazy man for her podcast. She says she's going to tell us a story. All we have to do is listen, and credits roll.
And I'm going to jump in here, too. You refer to her as the interviewer.
She has no name.
We never hear her name.
Nope, never do.
Yeah.
So we watch as the interviewer apologizes for a mistake she made in checking out some sources for a news story. Beyond Believable is her show, where she exposes the truth behind conspiracies, hoaxes, and such. All right, so this is not just a little person. This is not a podcast like ours. This is for some big network.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. She gets an email that has a number for Flora Mae King, but she doesn't know why. She calls the number and asks about a brick. The king says the brick changed her life. 20 years ago, she was having a hard time in life, but then she received a black brick. The brick was taken from her and sold to an art dealer. Even today, she can still feel the power from the brick after all these years. Well, she calls Mr. Lang, the art collector who's said to have bought the brick. He admits that he has several of these bricks now, and he's something of a collector. He received one himself when he was young, and he's been buying them up since. He knows of at least a dozen in existence. The interior of each brick, he's had some sort of sonar, I don't know what it was.
Scanning.
Some kind of scanning thing.
Where they can see the interior.
And the interior of each brick consists of hundreds of symbols overlaid and folded onto each other. He feels that his original brick was meant just for him, and it's connected to him somehow. He also talks about an ugly creature he once encountered, but he also felt that it was his brother. After that, he got the brick. He's very convincing until he offers to sell her one of the bricks.
And
was he just in it for the money? We don't know.
And I just realized something, too. You're talking about an ugly creature he once encountered, but he also felt it was his brother and stuff. That's something that ties in with the ending that I just realized.
Okay.
Didn't occur to me till now.
I'm trying to remember how that is, but okay. She talks to Scott, who says she needs a break, especially after getting fired from her previous job. This new podcast isn't working out for her. Who sent that anonymous email in the first place? Well, she publishes what she's got and asks if any listeners know anything more about these bricks. Her boss, Tyler, likes what she sent him. Sure enough, woman contacts her about another brick. Laura says she got hers about 2 years ago, and she gets visions from hers, and she also loses time once in a while. It's trying to tell her something awful is coming, and she can't talk about where she got the rock. Well, the interviewer continues to do interviews and research, and she starts her own crazy wall, as they always do in these movies.
Yeah.
Several callers say the bricks are dangerous and should not be spoken of. The podcast itself may be causing trouble. You need to stop what you're doing. You're in danger now, somebody tells her.
Should we stop there?
Yeah, I think so. It gets weirder and weirder and weirder as it goes.
Mm-hmm. And she does get some of the volumetric scans from the interiors of the bricks, so she can see that for herself. She has a linguist look over it, and
And then she finds out she's not just a researcher; she's actually involved in the story.
Yeah.
Well, I can just hear the producers at this point. Let's make a horror movie about a magic rock. It's an unsolved mystery / conspiracy theory / unexplained phenomenon story that's more mystery sci-fi than horror, but it's very cool. There's a mention here that there's sort of a sound-based illness that you get by talking about it. Don't talk about the rocks.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder if, all her talk is manifesting a reality.
And it could be.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Very, very reminiscent of Pontypool from 2009. But other than that, the story is very different. There's no zombies in this.
Mm-hmm.
I like the podcast setup.
Yeah, that was nice. She had a nice setup.
Tech porn. The film has only one character who ever appears on screen, mostly in her apartment, but we do get some glimpses and flashbacks to other places from time to time. But all the other characters just literally phone it in.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost no action, but it's an interesting mystery to follow along to the end. In the end, we don't really get a full explanation, but it's all very strange and weird. This came out in 2022. I wonder how much COVID had to do with this.
It might have, yeah.
Yeah,
it
just
would have
one
been
person on the cast.
way easier to film that way, yeah. Very effective, very well done.
And I like The Monkey, and I like Jenny Penn, but I'm going to call this... this one was my favorite just because it was so different and unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's right up there. It's hard to choose.
2014's Deep in the Darkness, directed by Colin Thays, written by Michael Lamo and John Doolin, stars Dean Stockwell, who's probably 108 here, don't you think?
Okay, not that old, but he's up there.
Dean Stockwell, Sean Patrick Thomas, and Blanche Baker, hour and 40 minutes, trailer in the show notes. And this was a dollar store find that was actually very good.
Yeah, it was.
Not perfect. It's got a whole slew of plot holes, but it's fun to watch, though.
We mentioned that, yeah.
Spoiler free. When a family moves from the big city to a small town, there's always going to be a little bit of adjustment. This is an extreme case of that. There are some plot points that make questionable sense, and some things that just don't work that way in real life, but overall it was a pretty entertaining film. It deserves a moderate thumbs up.
Yeah, I liked it more than disliked it, for
sure. I did too, yes. Yeah. It's got issues, but it was fun. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, we open on a man carrying his daughter through the woods. He's dirty, he's been through something bad, and he hears screams coming from the other room. Well, we cut back to the same man, Dr. Michael Cale, who is talking to a woman whose husband was killed by a rabid dog.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah, it's a small town, and she wants to sell her dead husband's medical practice and the house, all as one package. And Kyle wants it. He wants to get out of the city. Michael's family, his wife Christine and daughter Jessica, they make the deal, and they move into the little town of Ashboro. And as soon as they arrive, Jessica pukes all over, and Michael steps on a nail. It's a great start.
Yeah, it's a great first day.
Yeah.
Kids are sick, and he's got a nail through his foot.
Right out of the car, yeah. Well, neighbors Phil and Tyler Dayton walk up to introduce themselves. This is a grandfather and grandson. They're nice, and they invite the family over for lunch. Michael goes to their bathroom to fix up his foot and meets Mrs. Dayton, who has a strangely disfigured face. At lunch, Michael seems to be in a hurry to leave. Phil,
At this point, we're starting to wonder, get weird vibes from these people.
Yeah, they're
and we're
kind of
wondering,
off.
are they racists because Michael's black and the rest of the town isn't? Or are they, Stepford wives kind of people here? Or what? There's something going on. We know there's, right away, we know there's something going on.
Yeah, and it does, like you said, it does make you wonder. They don't seem racist. They seem genuinely nice, but too nice.
So there's something off about everyone.
Yeah. Well, Phil mentions that they don't have cable in this little town, but there are plenty of videotapes at the library.
This is taking place in modern times.
In modern time, yeah. There's also a town curfew. Everyone off the streets by 8.
And there is a sort of an explanation given that doesn't mean, I don't remember why, but blah, 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 there's a reason.
Yeah, and Michael thinks, oh, that's really weird. And his wife thinks, oh, that's so sweet. And so she's on board with that. Well, Michael goes to the office, pulls out the medical records for Mrs. Dayton, but doesn't really look at them. And because he's interrupted, he gets a box delivered. And
inside
this box, it's addressed to the previous doctor. And he opens the box, and it's a cooler pack. It is test tubes full of these most horrendous diseases. There's Ebola and
bubonic
the plague and
other things,
HIV and just, this slew of just test tubes coming in the mail.
You can get anything from Amazon.
I don't think it works like that easily. No. Well, but he takes, all the precautions. He puts them in his safe. This is not a highly sealed biomedical lab. This is just a
little country doctor's office, yes.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Okay. Well, Michael starts seeing patients. Everyone wants to meet the new doctor, including Lauren, who's really flirty. Well, Phil takes Michael on a hike to the woods, and they go to an old burial ground. It's kind of a ceremonial place with little totems sticking out of the ground. And it's not Indians, but some strange people, the isolates, who used to live around there. And people used to give them sacrifices to keep their family safe.
Used to.
Yeah. And then he says, well, yeah, people still make sacrifices here. And Michael say, what? And Phil says, yeah, we expect you to kill an animal on the stone slab. You need to make a sacrifice too. Well, Michael thinks it's all just folklore. He's not on board with that at all. Phil is very serious about it, though. Well, the family goes to a welcoming party for Michael at the church. And Michael kind of feels out of place in the all-white town. And, eventually, again, there's that vibe of, is it racism or weirdness?
He doesn't fit here.
Yeah.
And the question is why?
Why, yeah. Well, Phil reminds Michael about making the sacrifice, but Michael's busy meeting all the townspeople. The sheriff and his son AJ meet the doctor. Lauren is there, flirty, and asks for his protection. But he thinks maybe she's just flirting again. And then there's old lady Zealous, who is the town's, not founder, but in the founding family. And she's kind of the matriarch of the town, basically. Christine has a meeting with her and immediately wants to go home. At night, we see something strange looking in the windows, but Michael doesn't. And Jessica, the little girl, asks about ghosts. And then Christine announces that she's pregnant.
Okay.
And Lady Zealous is the town's midwife. That's what all the women and people do. They don't go to Michael for pregnancies. They go to old Lady Zealous.
Well, there are places where the midwife is...
Well, in modern days, though.
Yeah, there are in places. That's still a thing.
Yeah.
Well, Michael thought the town was treating him strangely because he was black, but it turned out to be a lot worse.
Yeah, it's not racism.
No, it's not. This actually came out the year before Bone Tomahawk did. That came out in 2015, the year after this. But it'll also be a good sequel to the Bone Tomahawk. That's a little bit of a spoiler as to what's going on
or
there,
at least the same universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did Michael want to leave the city so badly? We don't know. We never saw any kind of incident. Why did the townspeople put up with all this stuff?
I think he was just tired of big city living.
He's pretty desperate, but okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems that everyone in town knows what's going on, and the sheriff at some point keeps Michael from leaving town, but he can't block all the roads all day by himself every moment. Why don't the townspeople just leave?
Yeah. That was one of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all seem to be in on it, but not completely. Not everybody was
Well,
on board.
nobody likes
Nobody
the situation.
likes the situation. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, just leave then. Yeah.
Throughout most of the movie, we wondered about that box of diseases, but it was eventually explained. Still, no plague kills that quickly. No cure or preventative would work that quickly either. And we wondered at the end, obviously the plague comes into effect. And the way it happens, you'd think the whole town would be infected by the end of the movie. We don't see any evidence of that, but we should.
Yeah, there's lots of things. Don't think about the science too much.
Yeah, not at all, really.
Yeah.
But the creature effects here are really good. They're very effective, and the creatures are certainly nightmare fuel. There's a lot here that doesn't make any sense, but overall I thought it was pretty fun, as long as you totally don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy some Ebola from Amazon. Some Black Plague.
You know, by the end of it, I was hoping that the doctor would just give everybody Ebola.
Everybody?
Just kill them all.
Just kill the whole town?
Yeah.
Well, he may have done that. We just don't see it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But nitpicking aside, it was a pretty entertaining film.
Definitely worth $1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chillerama from 2011.
Another one worth $1.
It's got like the busiest movie poster cover I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
Directed by Adam Green, Joe Lynch, and Bear McCreary. Stars Adam Rifkin, Tim Sullivan, and Adam Green. Stars Adam Rifkin, Sarah Much, and Ray Wise. It's 2 hours long, and there's a trailer in the show notes. My goodness, there's a lot of people in that cover.
There's a whole lot of people in it.
And they're all in the movie.
Yeah.
These are all characters.
Yeah, you can recognize them. Yeah.
Spoiler free.
The whole thing is layers of parody. It's movies within a movie. It takes place at a drive-in theater, and that's the wraparound story. And then there's the movies that they're watching that are within the movie. It is raunchy and gross and politically incorrect and very funny, but in a sick kind of way. So you're warned. Very sick. And there's musical numbers, too. So it's a classic of cinema, right?
Well, no.
No? Okay. But we liked it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was fun.
I mean, it's stupid. It's dumb. It's kind of awful.
But
it's
in a good
awful
way.
in a good way. Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is.
It's, as you said, it's an anthology where the wraparound story takes place at a drive-in. And this wraparound story is called Zombie Movie. You know, B movies?
Mm-hmm.
Floyd digs up his dead wife's grave in black and white. He decides to have sex with a corpse, who sits up and bites his beanbag off.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
What a start.
He's late for work, so he pulls up his pants and walks out of the cemetery. He limps to the Kaufman Drive-In Theater, which is featuring Chillerama tonight. Okay, the character's named Floyd, and he works at Kaufman Theater.
No, that's the owner. The owner is
Yeah,
Kaufman.
I know.
Yeah.
Floyd works at the Kaufman Theater.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Floyd Kaufman is the guy who owns and runs Trauma Films. So I had to look and see. There's no connection. I think it's just an homage.
I think an homage, and
Yeah.
it is very trauma.
Oh, it's very
influenced.
trauma, yes. Mm-hmm. Is not, but it should be. The 4 films that they're going to show tonight are the theater's last ones, as they're going to be closing. They were both rare and special films. We cut from car to car as the patrons joke about how awful these movies are going to be. You know, they're kind of right.
Mm-hmm.
Old man Kaufman is depressed by his impending forced retirement. Floyd, the guy from the cemetery, staggers in, not looking well at all, and Kaufman gets on the PA and announces the first film, Wadzilla. Dr. Weems is a urologist, and he shows Miles normal sperm, and then Miles his own little swimmer. He's only got one.
There's like one sperm in his sample. Yeah.
Weems offers a new drug to increase Mike's sperm count. It won't increase the number of sperms, but it will increase their strength. I will probably never say that sentence again.
What could go wrong?
The next day at breakfast, Miles takes one of the pills. Every woman he sees that morning causes him pain. Dr. Weems gives him a very painful test. I don't think you're going to need a microscope, he says. The tadpole-sized sperm crawls across the floor. Weems instructs Miles to stop taking those pills.
Mm-hmm.
That night, Miles goes on a blind date with Louise, and it happens again. Louise calls a friend who explains the problem, and she feels sorry for Miles, who is now chasing a rat-sized sperm all over the bathroom. He clogs the toilet with it, but then it comes back up, and it's gotten bigger.
And it keeps getting bigger.
It's got big teeth, and he throws it through the window out into the yard, where it grows, and it grows, and it grows.
And it becomes
Wadzilla.
It's a kaiju spoof.
Yes, it certainly is.
Giant monster.
As it terrorizes the town. And we cut to our next movie. I Was a Teenage Werebear.
which is a spoof on the beach blanket bingo type musical beach movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Two teens have sex in a van. It's 1962. Ricky's father interrupts and won't stop watching. His girlfriend, Peggy Lou, starts to sing. Aha! It's a musical.
It certainly is.
Talon pulls Ricky out of the van, out of the way, as a truck plows into Peggy Lou. Ricky doesn't mind because he's gay, but he takes her to a gypsy woman, and the old gypsy woman doesn't like Talon. It's because there's gypsies, because there's a were thing in this.
Yes, absolutely.
We cut to a 1960s beach party with an excessive amount of male wrestling. Talon and Rick wrestle. Give it to me, Rick! Talon suddenly grows fangs and bites Rick in the rear. Oh, that'd come back bite him in the ass, won't it?
It certainly did.
Rick sings about how he's got to purge this urge. And he talks to the coach about his strange urges. And the coach understands. That's why he watches the team shower after practice. Yes, everyone in this segment is completely gay. Rick's eyes grow red, and he accidentally kills the coach. He has the strength of a grizzly.
Because he is a werebear.
He is now a werebear. A musical werebear. A gay musical werebear. And yeah, it's not necessarily the kind of bear you're expecting.
It gets pretty silly.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
We then cut to the third movie, or fourth, depending on how you count them, The Diary of Anne Frankenstein.
Anne Frankenstein.
We open on a black and white subtitled film where Anne Frank is hiding in the attic. She finds her grandfather's diary. He was said to have experimented with bad things. That's why their family shortened their name from Frankenstein. Suddenly, the Nazis storm in and capture everyone. Hitler himself stumbles into the room and wants to know about that journal. He kills everyone and takes Frankenstein's book. He gives one of the men Anne's diary. Write depressing stuff in this as if a teenager wrote it.
And we see it.
That's where it came from.
He's speaking, quote, German with subtitles. And it's you can tell sometimes, but it is said in the trivia that he's just speaking gibberish. He didn't know German, and it's not really, and it's a mishmash of German phrases.
Made up words, yes.
Made up words. Sometimes there's real German, but he'll say, I'm a terrible actor or something like that.
Hitler orders parts from the gravedigger, and they wheel the body parts into Hitler's office. He starts to break into song, but then a bad edit cuts that out. The music swells up, and he's getting ready to go, and nope, not now. It's not a musical.
But we get to see that in the closing credits.
We do. Yeah. He soon reveals his monster, who looks like a big square-headed rabbi. This is the most Jewish-looking monster I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Very stereotypical.
Yes.
Yeah.
The creature soon comes to life, and he says, you know what he says, you know what he says, right?
It's alive.
Yes, he does.
In German.
Hitler and Eva Braun laugh at how smart the monster, Meshuggah, is. He even got the money back on their taxes. Yep, it's a Jewish joke.
Yeah.
Hitler has a hard time convincing the monster to kill. Once the monster figures out that he's Jewish, he has no trouble killing the German guards. The mayhem continues so long that they all just sort of get bored with it. The one guy, he just takes so long to die that Hitler just sort of takes a nap in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Soon it's Hitler versus Meshuggah as they battle through the various film sets that we've seen. Hitler ends up losing his head. Back in the theater, the audience isn't looking very healthy anymore. People start turning into zombies.
The zombie disease is spreading.
Mr. Kaufman introduces the next movie, Deathication. Deathication.
And we don't really see that movie
No,
much,
not really.
But just enough to know.
The director comes on and explains how it literally scares the crap out of people. We then get a montage of people pooping, painting, and dancing. That would have been some movie if we'd actually got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that turns into a zombie thing.
For the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you stick through the credits, and you get to hear Hitler's song.
Yeah, there's stuff worth watching the credits for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we were shocked to see that this wasn't a trauma film, because it's got all the usual signs. The grainy film, the acting, and the over-the-top everything is just like their stuff. Even considering all that, the special effects, gore, and mayhem are well done and a lot of fun.
They put a lot of money and effort into it.
It looks awful, but it also looks really good at the same time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Each story is a parody, of course. Wadzilla is a kaiju film, Werebear was a beach blanket musical, and Anne Frankenstein should be obvious. It's a Frankenstein movie. The zombie film is longer than it needed to be, I thought, but not excessively bad. If you like movies that parody horror classic and tropes with a lot of sex jokes, Wadzilla, really? Come on. This might be right up your what? Up your alley. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I found myself laughing more than I should have, probably. Yeah.
It's kind of awful, but it's awful in a good way.
But at the same time, it's very entertaining.
Yes. Well, we'll be back next week with more movies.
We will?
We got 5 more horror movies coming up.
All right.
We have been watching it's been our epic weekend. Mm-hmm. What have we been watching?
Lord of the Rings.
All 3 of them.
And the first Star Wars trilogy.
All 3 of them.
Uh-huh.
It's been epic weekend.
Wow.
See if y'all can figure out why we'd be watching those 6 films this weekend.
What do they have in common?
Send me an email. Email at horrorguys.com with your guess. And maybe we'll have a prize for you. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Until then, I'm next week. Until next week, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
Will we be somebody else next week?
No, it'll still be me.
Well, it'll be us again.
Yeah.
The Horror Guys.
Yay!
Wow.
See ya.
That's an awkward closing.
Yeah, it's all right.
See ya.
Bye.